I remember being up in our big window and my mother telling me, Michelle, please come down from there. Daddy's not coming home.
Michelle Spear was only 4 years old when her parents divorced. Her mother later remarried a Christian man who took the family to church.
I just did what my parents told me to do. If the church doors were open, we would be in church.
Growing up, Michelle was caught between her church-going parents and her biological dad. He was an alcoholic and encouraged her to live life by her own rules.
I remember having a lot of anger, built-up anger, not seeing that they were trying to do for good for me. You know, I was seeing it as they don't care about me, they just want to keep me under their roof, they don't want me to have a life, and that just made me rebel more.
At 17, Michelle moved out and embraced the party lifestyle. But when she had sex one night, her fragile self-image was destroyed. After that, Michelle decided nothing she did mattered.
It was a breaking point in my life where I thought less of myself because it was important to me to save myself for the first man that I was going to marry. I ended up being promiscuous throughout years because of, I thought, well, I've already done that. So, I guess if I'm going to be a part of whatever this world has, I'm going to have to just go with it. So I drank a lot. I had to drink to relax, to fit in with the crowds that I was hanging around. I started smoking pot occasionally.
Michelle went from one relationship to the next.
I'm looking for that little white house with the picket fence and the family, that perfect little family that I never had.
Her search always ended in heartache. Over the next 10 years, Michelle had 4 children with 4 different men and put one son up for adoption.
I knew I couldn't afford to keep this child. I didn't feel that I was going to be able to provide him a good life. That's the hard part. When you have that beautiful baby in your hand and you hand it over, and you give that child to the person that's going to be taking care of him for the remainder of his life. And that alone in itself is unexplainable.
Michelle used alcohol to deal with her grief, but adding to her depression, she had also gained weight. So when someone offered her a pill that would help her lose weight, she took it without question.
That's what I thought it was, a dietary supplement, but it was methamphetamine in a pill form.
Michelle was addicted instantly and soon began smoking meth. Feeding her addiction became all she cared about for the next 8 years.
I wanted more, and that's all I wanted, and I didn't care how I got it. My bills weren't being paid after a time. Next thing you know, I'm being evicted and putting my stuff in storage. It took everything from me, my soul, my children, 2 houses, a couple cars. I mean, every time I would reestablish or try to reestablish, it'd be taken away from me.
Michelle's kids stayed with relatives and friends. Then Michelle's parents filed for custody of her daughter, Valerie, and won.
After my parents took my daughter, I ran real hard. I was just running from everything within me, myself and everybody else. I was so empty and broken, and I remember being up for, I'd say, about 5 days.
Michelle went on a meth binge and was coming down from her high when her oldest son, Anthony, found her.
He said, "Mom, get yourself together." And I just looked at him, and that disgust in his face, and I'm thinking, this is my baby boy, this is my firstborn child. And he sees me a mess. So at that point, he helped me pick up whatever was around, and I said, okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go to sleep and get myself together.
Michelle sobered up so she could try to take care of her boys. The first thing was to feed them.
They said, "Mom, we need to get some stuff to eat." Then all of a sudden it came to me, I thought, wait, I can take them down to Faith Assembly Christian Center at their Celebrate Recovery and feed them free. My parents are both leaders there, and I can get a chance to see Valerie real quick.
After they ate, Michelle's daughter convinced her to stay for the worship service. Michelle's first impulse was to run.
I still remember everything going through my head. Why are you here? Why are you even attempting this? What are people gonna say? So I sat there in that pew and fought it and fought it and fought it.
Finally, Michelle decided to stop running.
It was like the second song, and I just remember walking up to the altar. I thought, you know what, this is my chance. This is my chance for change. And at that moment is when I said, God, you have to take this. You have to take this from me. This addiction, my friends, I surrendered it all to you. And at that point, that was where my life was changed. I walked into a church for a free meal, but I left with eternal life.
Michelle completed the Celebrate Recovery program and is still drug-free. Today, she's happily married to John, reconciled with her children, and finally has the life she dreamed of.
God has really restored everything, in not only with relationships, but within myself. All I had to do is just say, God, take me, I'm yours, you know? I need you. And I guess the truth of it is God knows our heart. When we're ready, He knows our heart.